Good, cool, nice afternoon, Santa Clarita. This is Dr. Judith Curts, and I am the sex therapist, sexologist part of the show, and I'm here with my colleague, Dr. Gregory Jenkins, who is the MD part of the show. And, you know, I wanted to say something. I say we're hello, Santa Clarita, and we certainly are here in Santa Clarita. That's where our offices are based, and I also have one in Beverly Hills. But guess what, folks? We're all over the country, and you can see our show. I know sometimes people have said to me, 2 in the afternoon, I'm picking up the kids, and I'd really like to call in or see your show. And we're also on YouTube, so maybe a week later you can find us. Just search for the Doc and Doc Show, and there we are. And you can even see us, and although we're here on the radio, you can actually see us, drinking our water and making faces at each other, whatever. But we're really happy to be here, and you can see the show anytime you want. You can watch it with your spouse. We talk about health, healthy sexuality, and we try to give a lot of information. If you don't call in with a question, and we are so hoping you do, we want you to call us right now at 661-298-5487. I'm going to say it again, 661-298-5487. Ask us anything about relationships, sexuality, health. We'll try to give you the answers, although we have our private offices. This is our radio office, and this is the time that you can call and ask us anything you want. And if you're somewhere else or you have a friend in Peoria that wants a question, they can go right to the radio website, KHTS, your hometown station, and send an email with a question, and we'll have it for the next show. So we can be anywhere, and we're delighted to be with you today. So how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing really well today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, always.
I think we're going to have an interesting show today. There's a couple topics that we're going to cover, and then take whatever call-ins we have. Dr. Curts is going to talk about sexual surrogacy, and then I'm going to have some information about what's called the O shot for the orgasm shot. So I think we're going to have a lot to talk about. So I think that we need to have people call in and help us out. We can, if they ask any questions, we'll be glad to answer them. So, Judith?
Well, I have had... I'm new in the area. I'm a California girl now, and I absolutely adore California. Came here for all the right reasons, and I'm loving it. But I've had a lot of calls in my office about sexual surrogacy, and I want to talk about that a little. If somebody thinks you're a sex therapist, you're a sex surrogate. Wrong, wrong, wrong. A certified sex therapist, the only state that certifies is the state of Florida. So anyone, I just want to give you some education, just, buyer beware and to protect yourself. Anyone can call themselves a sex therapist in any of the states except for Florida, and they can say they practice sex therapy. But please beware, there are only 2 boards that certify that now, and it's ASECT, A-S-E-C-T, and the board that I'm under, the American Board of Sexology, and it's highly regulated. It's to protect everyone and give you the right information. So, when you consider going to someone, just make sure that they're well qualified. Sex surrogates. That started in 1970 with Masters and Johnson. Masters and Johnson did some tremendous work, and they did work with sex therapists. Sex surrogates. I believe in the United States now there are only 40 who are really certified, and I'm not sure how they're certified. I don't know that much about it. I don't refer to a sex surrogate because I just think there's a fine line. It's payment for sex, and that would be a sex worker, which is illegal. So I really like to be on the other side of that line. And if there is a surrogate out there who is certified, they have a group called the International Professional Surrogates Association, IPSA. If there's anyone out there who is a true member of that, we'd love to have them as a guest, wouldn't we?
That'd be a great show that day, so I hope you can call back for us.
And, I mean, if there are 40, I'm sure there must be one in California. So give us a call. We'd love to have you on the show. I'd like to talk more about it. I believe, and it's my professional belief, I've been doing this 25 years, that if you do sex therapy or you have questions, you need some help in that area, and don't we all at some time in our life, you could talk to a sex therapist. You don't have to take your clothes off. You don't have to touch. We can do that because we're so well trained in talk therapy. And we can get through a lot of things. So I just want to caution people and let you know that it's borderline illegal, and I think most of us would not refer to a sex surrogate. I think there are better ways, and then the intimacy is also gone. I've really given it a lot of thought because I have had some calls. And I'm wondering, Dr. Greg, what you think if someone is severely handicapped. I mean, I think we all have a right to the joy of sexuality. So what do you think about that?
Well,
I struggle still with it.
Well, Dr. Judith, many times patients are paralyzed from the waist down or from the neck down, but they still can have intercourse. Usually what happens is for men, they have a device implanted, which is a implantable pump, and that they're able to receive erection from. The other thing is that those muscles are not controlled by motor muscles, like the muscles that we use to move our arms. Those are skeletal muscle, and the muscle in our penis is different. So that always works. And I don't know if you saw that movie about the I can't remember. It took place in England, and he became more and more handicapped. So I can't remember the name of the movie, but back to me is it can be done for women. There's no implants or anything that happens. Sometimes there are some electrical stimulation devices that are used, but women can achieve orgasm even though they're in a wheelchair.
By the way, this is interesting. I had a few patients, female, that wanted to know where they could hire a male surrogate. I didn't give them that information because I really don't know, and I don't want to get involved in it. And the websites that they would bring to me, I really cautioned them. So you really have to be careful when it comes to sexuality. We want you all to be happy and healthy and have great experiences, but there are people who might take advantage of you that haven't been well trained, and just buyer beware. Buyer beware.
I think that goes for a lot of things. But one thing I've been investigating is this thing called the O shot for women. Now the O shot, they have a similar shot for men also. The O shot is a method of implanting better protein in the sexual organs. So what happens is that the patient has a blood test, and they draw out enough blood that they can process it in their machines. Then after it's processed and the patient is ready, there's injections given in the kind of like in the area of the G spot. They also have a small injection in the woman's clitoris, and the reviews and the scientific evaluation of this shows that it's been working quite well. So I'm hoping that some people that are interested in having that kind of thing would contact a provider that does that in the O shot.
And I can't mention names, but there is a physician in the area that does that.
Oh.
And I would love to have her if she wants to come on the show someday and talk about that, because she has a lot of good information too. Although here we are, little caution, because we're talking about the medical, the physical versus the psychosexual, and you can get the shots, which I think wonderful, yay, hooray, like we've had with Viagra, Cialis, Levitra, but you also have to work on that intimacy issue, that you're not going to have the great sex unless you have the intimacy, and that's especially so true with women. So if you're not having intimacy with your partner, don't expect to get a shot and everything's going to be amazing and wonderful. So that's another thing that I think you just kind of have to be aware of.
Yeah, the brain is the overriding part of the body that controls all things. So even though you have the O shot, you have an implant, you take Levitra, you take Cialis, and you take Viagra, all those medicines won't work if your mind is not working correctly. So I'm hoping that, if you're going to use these for intercourse, that you're relaxed and you don't have a bunch of negative feelings about anything at that time. You and the partner are getting along fine. So, like I said, the mind is the strongest aphrodisiac of all.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think I love the internet, but there's a lot of information that it's wonderful. I go to it for information about a lot of things too, but there's some things that make you feel you should be having sex so many times, and you should be doing this, and the average here and there, and there's so many crazy studies out there. But you really need to use good sense, and I think being in a really positive, loving relationship has to come first. And you talk about the brain is the aphrodisiac, and it absolutely is. But I also deal with the heart, not the physical heart, but the heart and the soul. And those are where our feelings are. And unless you have that, a shot isn't going to be magical for you. And you're going to be disappointed and depressed. It may work, but it isn't going to fulfill you or give you what you want. It may even cause some depression and some sadness. So, I hate that we base sex so much on the physical and also how people look. I mean, I love California, and everybody is gorgeous out here. I mean, Dr. Jenkins and I are both gorgeous, so we're just here. Trying to talk about some substance too, and not just how you look outside, surface. So surface versus substance. And I know, believe me, I was at my Beverly Hills office yesterday, and I'm sitting having lunch, seeing all of these gorgeous people walking by, well-dressed, and yet some of them didn't look very happy. So we have to pay attention to our soul, and however you define that, and our heart, and our interactions with other people, our intimacy with other people. Instead of texting, maybe you plan to be with somebody and talk to them eye to eye, heart to heart. And that has a lot to do with tantric sex. Have you all ever heard of tantric sex? Justin, you ever heard of that? Oh, he has. Okay. And tantric is not this fabulous, explosive sexuality, but it's where two intimate partners sit together without talking, clothes generally off, or you can have some on, you can be as alluring as you want, and you touch your partner's heart, and you stare into each other's eyes with your hands on their heart. And it's kind of lovely, and it can be very intimate and very arousing. So I think that's another thing that helps with sexuality.
Wow, that's interesting. I've never heard of tantric sex, but
you ought to try it.
Okay. Well, back to the medical side of this is that you have to be healthy to have sex. So if for some reason you're not working correctly, you should get some laboratory evaluation to find out, make sure there's no infection that's causing problems, make sure your heart is strong enough to have you're strong enough to have sex. So I just urge all of you to please see your physicians if you're having any problem with sex, and get tested and see what can be improved.
You know, what we're trying to encourage is people to call in. And let me give you the number once again. And the number here, get your pens and paper, and if you're driving, don't do that. But 661, that's just the area code here, 298-5487. Give us a call. We don't mind what you ask. We're going to get the answers for you. And you're coming into our radio offices free of charge, and use a different name if you like. We really don't care. We just like to get the information out. And I will tell you, people have so many questions about sexuality and the physicality of that. So you've got two experts here who are really experts. We're certified, trained. We've done all the work. Gosh, how long did it take you to get where you are in school? How many years?
Well, that's the medical school. Undergrad is 4 years, medical school is 4 years, and then residency is a minimum of 3 years. So you're looking at 11 years is the minimum. Some super specialized types, they have to do 5 or 6 or 7 years after their medical school. So they're looking at 16, 17, 18 years before they get there.
Yeah, and I have 11 years, and we all go to continuing education, and because we want to be up on absolutely everything. So anything that you want to know, if you want to talk a little bit about the controversial sex surrogacy, and I'm bringing it up because I've had quite a few calls since I've been in California, and I would just urge, and believe me, I don't want to get political, but some of the politicians to maybe regulate this a little bit more. If you want to protect the people out there, let's do it. I'm telling you some things just so you can protect yourself, but we want you to call in. We're probably going to go to break in a minute, so think about your questions, and please join us.
Yeah, please call us back at 661-298-5487. We're in historic downtown Newhall. Come by and visit if you'd like. But KHTS, and we're going to go to a break now. Thank you.